Well, everybody, welcome back to Mark Alford's Capitol Recap. I'm your Congressman, Mark Alford, coming to you once again from the Cannon House Office Building, number 328, here in Washington, D.C., the Swamp. Well, listen, folks, it has been a major week on Capitol Hill, from restoring law and order in our nation's capital to confronting the Chinese-linked shell companies near Whiteman Air Force Base, to delivering the Epstein files and delivering big wins for Missouri small businesses with the AI for Main Street Act. We have a lot to cover for you in this week's segment, so let's get started. First, a big update from Capitol Hill. I want to update you now on something that a lot of you care deeply about. So do I, the Epstein file investigation. This week, the House moved forward with new releases of documents, adding to the more than 65,000 pages that were already made public. So here's what's new this week. Newly unsealed travel, communication, and financial records are being released. Multiple new subpoenas for individuals tied to Epstein's financial operations are going out. DOJ confirmation that more batches of documents are being prepared for release. Expanded investigative authority for Oversight Committee to compel the testimony through subpoenas of those involved, and new disclosures pointing to more alleged enablers previously shielded from scrutiny. All that is going to come out because we voted for it and the Senate voted for it. Transparency, folks, is not a partisan issue. I've been saying this for months now. Transparency is moral. It is the right thing to do. We need the truth. We need to protect the victims. We need to shield them from any further victimization. But we have to get as much information out as possible. You deserve that. The victims deserve it. We all deserve it. Now, I want you to hear a really important message from my colleague, Congressman William Timmons, who laid out the truth behind 4 years of silence from the Biden-Harris administration, all right? They did nothing to get the truth out. And yet President Trump and Congress is doing that. We'll tell you why Democrats suddenly claim to care about this issue. Here's Congressman William Timmons.
You know, a lot of people out there have been trying to allude in some way that this has something to do with Donald Trump and that he's mentioned all this. Do you see any of this as being a real sort of a hit job on President Trump?
No, look, I mean, the Biden administration was as corrupt as any administration in U.S. history. And
yes,
if they had any information in these files at the FBI or at DOJ, they would have released it and they would have hung it around his neck before the election. So I can promise you there's nothing in there about the president. And not to mention the fact that he has said repeatedly and said the exact same thing, that he thought Jeffrey Epstein was a crook and a creep and just a horrible human. And so, I mean, I just think that this is politics at its worst, when we need to be helping victims get accountability. And, you know, it's just politics.
All right, let's talk about what we are passing off the floor now. House Republicans passed Congresswoman Elise Stefanik's bill, H.R. 5214, bringing back mandatory cash bail for dangerous offenses here in the District of Columbia. And that's going to end the left's reckless cashless bail experiment. It was a complete and utter failure. It only led to more crime, and it led to younger people committing these crimes. It's simple. The Democrat-run system was a gift to violent criminals, and the American people have paid the price for it. Now we're restoring accountability. We're trying to restore some sanity and restoring safety. Here's a short clip from House GOP that really lays it out.
Every place in the country where you have no cash bail is a disaster. Democrats are weak on crime.
We should not be locking people up in jail because they cannot afford their bail, period.
Changes to the system took place because they're connected to data that shows no relationship between cashless bail and crime.
90% of those released do not reoffend before trial.
He was arrested 14 times by the police.
Irina Zarutska should still be alive. She was stabbed to death by a criminal who should never have been back on the streets.
Democrat-backed cashless bail approach
lets these criminals roam free in our country to offend again and again.
Somebody murders somebody and they're out on no cash bail before the day is out.
We literally had people that would rob a bank in the morning, get let out an hour later and rob a second bank. Criminals knew there were no consequences anymore.
Well, and folks, let me say something else. The President Trump effect is real. The latest jobs report show that 119,000 new jobs were added in September, more than double what the economists had expected. That's what happens when you restore safety, stability, and pro-growth policies like this president is doing. The economy responds. Families benefit. America's hope is restored, and America moves forward. And that's what's happening in our economy. It is not going to happen overnight, but this is a great sign that even better things are to come. Back here in Congress, we're reinforcing those gains. This week, the Clean D.C. Act continues to build momentum. It repeals the D.C. Council's anti-police law, and it locks in the law and order reforms that President Trump brought back to our Capitol. Here's the bill's author, my colleague, Congressman Andrew Clyde, with more on that. Andrew?
Thankfully, in August, President Trump initiated a federal takeover of the Metropolitan Police Department and deployed the National Guard to confront this massive crime crisis. Since then, violent crime has dropped by 30%. And even D.C.'s Democrat mayor, Muriel Bowser, has acknowledged fewer homicides and a sharp decline in carjackings since President Trump's intervention. Repealing the anti-police policies enacted by the pro-criminal D.C. Council will further strengthen President Trump's efforts and restore common sense to law enforcement in Washington, D.C.
And folks, while we're talking about restoring safety, here's another major win. The PEARL Act passed the House. P-E-A-R-L. It passed the House, training rescue dogs to serve as support. All right, let's start this over. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. And while we're talking about restoring safety, here's another win. It's called the PEARL Act. It passed the House, training rescue dogs to serve as support canines for our Customs and Border Protection personnel. It's a common sense, compassionate improvement for the brave men and women protecting our borders. Here's Congressman Tony Gonzalez. He's a friend of mine. He represents a district down in Texas on the border, and here's what he had to say about it.
Gentleman from Texas is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today in support of my bill, the PEARL Act. With over 800 miles of the Texas-Mexico border, I represent the largest border district in the country. From Eagle Pass to Del Rio to the Big Bend region to El Paso, many of America's hardworking Border Patrol agents call Texas 23 home. Protecting our nation's border is no easy feat. It's long hours, late nights, and time away from home. The PEARL Act, named after a special canine that helped our Border Patrol agents through some tough times, gives our law enforcement one more tool to improve mental health outcomes at CBP. In 2023, CBP launched the Support Canine program, which aims to improve mental health resources for CBP personnel. Here in Washington, we have a saying, if you want a friend, look for it, get a dog. And that's exactly what this bill is doing. My bill builds upon this goal by establishing a pilot program through the Department of Homeland Security to adopt dogs from local animal shelters to enhance the Support Canine program. I look forward to seeing this legislation support the men and women who defend our borders every day in the United States, and I look forward to seeing this pass. I yield back.
Well, thanks, Tony. You're listening to Mark Alford's Capital Recap. When we come back, the truth about the CCP, Communist China, and its link to a trailer park right next to Whiteman Air Force Base, home of the B-2 stealth bomber. Our newly committed passed AI bill, we'll be talking about that, and the truth on the Epstein files. More on that. You won't want to miss it. Stay with us. You're listening to Mark Alford's Capital Recap. Welcome back to Mark Alford's Capital Recap. Glad you're with us. This week we raised a major national security concern involving Whiteman Air Force Base. Maybe you've heard about it. You know, Whiteman's home of the B-2 stealth bomber. 19 of them out there. 1/3 of our nuclear triad is out at this base. Of course, they wiped out the nuclear capabilities of Iran recently with the strike on Iran this past summer. Very proud of that effort led by President Trump, deciding to finally strike and wipe out the nuclear capabilities. Well, a report reveals that a trailer park in Knob Noster, almost adjacent to Whiteman Air Force Base, less than half a mile from the base, may be owned through Chinese Communist Party-linked shell companies. Look, folks, this behavior, it is textbook CCP intelligence playbook. Form the shell companies, have foreign cutouts, disguise the ownership, embed your assets near U.S. military sites. This is their playbook. And yet, somehow, in 2017, they got by with it. We sent a letter demanding a classified briefing with the CFIUS. That's the Committee on Foreign Investments in the United States. They are under the Department of Treasury, and we're wanting to know, how did they miss this? 2 years ago, Senator Eric Schmidt and I had a little visit with CFIUS because they did not have Whiteman Air Force Base on their list of Department of Defense bases to scrutinize real estate transactions, particularly land sales near these Department of Defense bases. We thought that is ridiculous. We got them on this list of scrutiny, but we need to know from them, did they know about this transaction? What is the truth behind this report that came out in the Daily Caller? And if it is owned by a shell company that's run by the Communist Chinese Party, what do we do about it? And what danger could Whiteman Air Force Base be in because of this? Look, Missourians deserve answers. You deserve answers. America deserves answers. And the CCP has no place operating next to our nuclear assets like Whiteman Air Force Base. Our message is simple. Whether it's Whiteman or farmland, foreign infiltration will not be tolerated. CFIUS really has to start doing its job. We also continue our work to support Kansas City as a host site for the 2026 World Cup. We sent a letter to President Donald Trump. In fact, I visited the White House this week, talking with staff there, urging the president to retain Kansas City as a 2026 World Cup host site. This follows President Trump's announcement that his administration is reconsidering now host cities with big crime problems, which local leaders have allowed to fester in Kansas City for far too long. And we were worried that it might be on the list of cities to lose their host duties for the upcoming World Cup. Kansas City's already invested millions of dollars just to get ready for the games and to showcase our nation at its best. We can't lose that, folks. And so I am working, hoping to convince the president to make sure that Kansas City is not in jeopardy of losing its host site status. Unlike a lot of coastal host cities, Kansas City is really alone as the only host city in the geographic heart of the United States. And removing Kansas City, it would mean holding an American World Cup without a single match in the Midwest. That can't happen. And this wouldn't be just a loss to Missouri or Kansas. It would be for the whole region and really the spirit of the event itself. So we're asking the president, if he is considering stripping Kansas City as a host city, not to do that. One of the reasons is the economic impact. It's expected to generate about $695 million from those matches that are coming up into our region. And stripping the city of this after years of investment, preparation, compliance, it would have devastating consequences for the local economy, for you, for the hardworking families that we represent. So we're asking President Trump for a clear commitment, a commitment that Kansas City will stay as a host city for the World Cup next year. Switching gears now, this week, the House Small Business Committee unanimously passed my bill called the AI for Main Street Act. It really does one simple but powerful thing. It makes sure that America's small businesses, not just big corporations, but small businesses, really the fabric of America, 33 small businesses in the United States of America, that they benefit from the AI revolution. And here's what I had to say right before we voted to pass this out of committee.
As we all know, the AI revolution is not coming. It is already here. And if any company from Main Street to Wall Street is not adapting, they will be left behind. This is why I was proud to introduce the AI for Main Street Act along with Congresswoman Skolton. This bill directs small business development centers to help small businesses evaluate and adopt artificial intelligence by providing guidance, training, and outreach. It builds on existing efforts like America's SBDC AIU program. I urge all of my colleagues to support this important legislation to ensure that Main Street gets the counseling they need to survive and thrive during the AI era, which is not going away anytime soon.
I also had time to record and get back to our whiteboard series. If you haven't seen that, we record in our office. We're trying to get back to those. We had to shut down the Schumer shutdown, so we kind of took a hiatus from that. But in these whiteboard series online, if you go on our website, alford.house.gov, or our different social media channels at Rep Mark Alford, whether it be Facebook or Instagram or X, you can see these. But we kind of break down how the bills work and why it matters for Main Street. I've got the audio for you now, so let's play that. Well, hi, everybody. Congressman Mark Alford here, coming to you from 328 Cannon. Hey, we haven't done a whiteboard series in some time, and I thought we would do one today over a bill that we just got passed out of committee in the Small Business Committee. I am the chair of the Oversight Subcommittee. Small Business Committee, great, but this is called AI for Main Street Act that passed and is going to get on the House floor. We're going to pass it there, too. You know what AI is, right? Artificial intelligence. A lot of people are concerned that it's going to take jobs away, and it could replace some jobs, but the goal with the AI for Main Street is to make sure that it is a tool that can be used by small business owners. We have some 33 million small business owners in America, many in Missouri. We've got to make sure they have the proper tools that they need. And AI, artificial intelligence, is one of them. So this is helping small business evaluate and adopt artificial intelligence. It's going to make sure that creators are not left behind in the AI revolution, because that revolution isn't just coming. It is here right now. So we passed this in Small Business Committee with unanimous support. That means everyone voted for it. It requires small business development centers to provide guidance, training, and outreach for small business owners and entrepreneurs. So we have these CBDCs that are set up, which is really separate than the Small Business Administration. They kind of help fill in the gaps for the SBA. These small business development centers, we have one in Osage Beach, we have one in Sedalia, we have one in Columbia, and we have one in Kansas City at the University of Missouri, Kansas City. So if you're an entrepreneur, you're wanting to start a business, you need help doing it, that's what these small business development centers are all about. They are a great asset to provide counseling to you mainly. And then for capital, you need to go through the Small Business Administration. We are here to help you with that. If you have any issues, if you're an entrepreneur, maybe you want to start a small business, maybe we can help. Just give our office a call. Go to alford.house.gov for all the information, the office's phone numbers to contact us so that we can get you in touch with the right people. Well, that's it for our whiteboard series. Good to be back doing these. Good to be back in Washington. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Well, look, folks, this bill is bipartisan. It's practical. It's going to help small towns, rural America, and Missouri's entrepreneurs compete in a changing world. That's what governing looks like. We are trying to help small businesses, and as chair of the Oversight Subcommittee for the Small Business Committee, I'm doing that each and every day, helping grow small businesses in Missouri and in America. Well, folks, before we close, here is our Sunday scripture, Luke 23:41 through 43, the powerful exchange between Jesus and the repentant thief on the cross. You know the story. The thief said to Jesus, "Indeed, we have been condemned justly. Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom." And Jesus said, "Amen, I say to you today, you will be with me in paradise." Man, that's powerful. Even on the cross, Jesus met a guilty man with mercy. No excuses, no bargaining, just a simple, honest plea. Remember me is what the thief on the cross said. And Jesus answered with grace bigger than his past. I think this is a great reminder that mercy meets us at the moment that we turn from sin and we turn towards God and turns towards Jesus Christ, our Savior. He's ready to meet you. He's ready to extend that grace to you as well. Folks, thank you for joining us for this week's Capitol Recap. It is an honor to fight for you, to represent you, to stand up for you each and every day. Thanksgiving is next week or later this week, and I hope you have a grateful heart for all the blessings that God has bestowed upon you. We live in the greatest nation known to man, and no matter what your socioeconomic background is, we are in this together, and we are blessed just to be in America. Remember, folks, I believe in you. I believe in America, and I still believe our greatest days are ahead of us. Good day, and God bless.